Welcome to the journey of Emmaus. I'm sure you have heard this Emmaus passage umpteen times, or read the passage, or might have even heard reflections on the passage. Now, the series of these short videos now will tell you the significance, the importance of the journey that these two disciples had in going towards Emmaus. A brief introduction about the entire passage. The passage, that is the walk to Emmaus, is found in the Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 24, verses 13 to 35. I'm sure this is one of the longest resurrection narratives that is found in all the four Gospels. The resurrection narratives are the stories that is none other incident is elaborated in such a manner. And these disciples who journey to Emmaus, the journey as well as the incident is explained or elaborated in such a manner that itself shows that the entire apparition to the disciples who were going to Emmaus is indeed great, or indeed significant enough. My friends, from now on, let us go word by word and see how exactly this Emmaus incident is really significant and important for the resurrection of Jesus. Verses 13. Now, on that same day. What same day? My friends, the same day is the day that the Lord was risen. Whenever we break the passages in the liturgical celebrations, we find that this event might have taken place at some other time. But we should not forget the fact that resurrection events are all connected together. For example, this reading comes to us on the third Sunday of Easter, season A or cycle A. For most of us who listen to the gospel on the third Sunday of Easter, we think that Jesus was risen and then Jesus appeared to the disciples after 2 days or after 2 weeks at Emmaus. No. The same day when Jesus was risen, he appeared to the disciples. My dear brothers and sisters, if you analyze the resurrection events, maybe it could be like this. The dawn of Sunday, Mary Magdalene and few other women reached the tomb and they find that already the tombstone is rolled. When the tombstone is rolled and they did not find the body inside the tomb, they rush to Simon Peter and the companions and tell them that the tombstone is already rolled and there's no Jesus inside. As soon as this news was being told to them, Peter and John rushed to the tomb. Well, as the gospel goes, Peter rushes and comes first and stands there, but then John comes later, but then straight goes inside the tomb, and then Peter goes inside the tomb, finds the linen the wrapped linen being put aside, and then the linen that was tied to the head was folded and kept aside. They see it and they come out. And then Mary Magdalene, who was at the tomb, was still weeping there, and then Jesus meets Mary Magdalene. When Jesus meets Mary Magdalene will rush back to the disciples once again and tells them, "The Lord is risen and I have seen him." After having said, when she goes there and tells the disciples, and it is at this time that she has already passed the message that Jesus is risen, but then they are at disbelief. They do not want to believe these women, because usually in the Jewish culture and tradition, the testimony of women has no weight or has no significance. They do not value the testimony of women. Because of that, they did not believe these women. And on the same day, the two disciples, Cleophas and another disciple, will start heading towards Emmaus, which was 11 kilometers away from Jerusalem. They wanted to go back because they were disheartened. They had lost faith and hope in Jesus. That's why they are making a journey back. They find, these two disciples find Jesus, and then they rush back the same night and reach the disciples. When they rush back on the same night and reach the disciples and start narrating to the disciples, Jesus appears amidst them. But the number of disciples who were present at that time is not mentioned in any of the Gospels. It could be 10. Not the 11 disciples, but 10. Who was missing? Any guess? Thomas was missing, because he didn't find the Lord when the disciples saw the Lord. But then they constantly kept telling Thomas that they have met the Lord. But then Thomas didn't want to believe. You know his conditions. He said, unless I place my finger in the wounds of his hands and my hand at his side, I will never believe, he said. If you remember, on the second Sunday of Easter, after 8 days, that's how the gospel begins. After 8 days, Thomas also was there. That means Jesus appeared on the day of the resurrection, first to Mary Magdalene, then to the disciples who were heading towards Emmaus, and then when they had reached back, maybe at about night, when the disciples reached back, at that time he appeared to the 10 of the disciples. That means it is very sure on the same day means that Christ was risen and appeared to the disciples of Emmaus on the day of the resurrection. That is on the Resurrection Sunday. We'll wait for the few other lessons. God bless. Amen.